Welcome back to the Fire Your MD Now radio show. This is hour 2. You're listening to Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. And it is Remembrance Day in Canada and Veterans Day in the United States. We want to take out some time to remember those who gave their lives for something that they deemed more important than themselves. And really, that's what our society is built on, if you think about it. Now, I got a email this morning. I'm not a big fan of Donald Trump, but this is pretty funny. Okay? The subject, 2,700 pages of health care explained in a single paragraph. So Trump goes on to say, let me get this straight. We're going to be gifted with a health care plan we're forced to purchase and fined if we don't, which purportedly covers at least 10 million more people without adding a single doctor, but provides for 16,000 new IRS agents who have recently demonstrated their objective and professional integrity, written by a committee whose chairman says he doesn't understand it, passed by a Congress that didn't read it but exempted themselves from it, and signed by a Dumbo president who smokes, with funding administered by a Treasury chief who didn't pay his taxes, for which will be taxed for 4 years before any benefits take effect, by a government which is already bankrupted Social Security, Medicare, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and the Post Office, all to be overseen by a Surgeon General who's obese and financed by a country that's broke. What the hell could possibly go wrong? And I would add, a government that can't even seem to get a website up and running. Interesting. Now, we were talking about vets, and I was thinking about veterans and veteran health issues today, and I came across this article from Natural News by Ethan A. Huff. Veterans routinely given psychiatric drugs without diagnosis of mental disorder. I mean, that headline pretty much speaks for itself. A major indicator of the deteriorating quality of conventional medical care in the U.S. is its growing reliance on pharmaceutical drugs as a catch-all for pain and disease management. Pain and disease management, isn't that wonderful? A new study published in the American Journal of Geriatric Psychiatry shows that this dire situation is only worsening, as many conventional doctors are no longer even properly diagnosing patients, but instead just handing out medication willy-nilly in order to get patients out the door. This is definitely true for millions of American veterans currently taking psychiatric drugs, many of whom have alleged mental conditions that were never clinically diagnosed. According to a new report out of Yale University, roughly one-third of all U.S. veterans between the ages of 65 and 85 currently taking psych drugs never received any sort of mental health diagnosis. As it turns out, less than 40% of those taking such drugs but not getting mental health treatment from a specialist have a legitimate mental illness diagnosis. Now, if we're going to remember these guys, and we claim that we care about them, if you are a high earner with longevity, go find a vet and get them on some Tangy Tangerine. You know what I'm saying? Get them a Healthy Start pack. If you have the means to help out one of these people and you want a way to give back for their sacrifice, I can't think of a better way, and just see what it does for their life. And also, I'd like to point out, it is September 11th, and while remembering those who died in battle, we should also take some time to remember those who died in those horrible attacks on September 11th. No matter who you think perpetrated them or why they happened or the reasons, it doesn't matter. Those people died a horrible death. Not only that, but we've got first responders with lung and kidney problems and all and you know, the government, the same one that cares about you so much with your health care, couldn't help them, could they? Nope. We got money for Pakistan. We got money for all these foreign countries. We got money for war. But when it comes, I mean, they're going to tell you, be all that you can be, and throw ticker tape parades for you and all that. But really, when it comes down to it, I mean, my dad was in Las Vegas talking to the VA guys there, and they told him flat out that there's about 6,000 guys on the street, veterans. So remember that when you hear this government grandstanding and talking about how much they love the vets. Okay? Pretty much expendable. Now, that all being said, the name of this show is Fire Your MD Now, and I came across this story. If you want, if you have access to YouTube, go to a page called Chris Beats Cancer channel, Chris Beats Cancer. And there's an interview on there with an Amish man named Isaac Kine. He is the grandfather of 10-year-old Sarah Hirschberger. Now, a number of you have probably already heard about this, but I've been following this over the last little while, and I can't think of a better reason to dump some of these stupid treatments. It turns out this little 10-year-old Amish girl was diagnosed with cancer. She had stage 4 lymphoma, I believe, or something like that. And she ended up at the Akron, Ohio Children's Hospital. Now, they put her on chemotherapy, and after the first round, this little girl was so sick that she was just hating life. She couldn't eat. She didn't want anybody to touch her or even come near her for about a week. So they told the hospital, upon the girl's wishes, that she did not want to undergo any more chemotherapy, which sounds reasonable to me. So what they did was they got her on naturopathic, I don't believe it was longevity, but they used some different naturopathic means to treat this little girl themselves, and she responded, and in fact, she responded so well that the cancer completely cleared up. Now, while all this is going on, the hospital is going and getting a court order to take this girl back and force her to finish her chemotherapy treatments. Force her. Okay, when she didn't want it. They said this is child abuse. So the Hirschbergers, they ended up taking this little girl out of the country to get away after the court ordered. They actually appointed a lawyer/nurse to be her guardian. All right? So they skipped the country. And this little girl says, I will physically fight. Good for you, little patriot girl. Good for you. 10-year-old girl got more guts than a lot of people out there. Anyhow, she got better. So they ended up getting a lawyer who started looking into things, and it turned out that this hospital was giving her a untested, controversial drug treatment, chemotherapy treatment. Okay, she was basically a lab rat. And it turned out that the hospital wasn't going to get paid the full amount if she didn't finish the chemo. So they were willing to go to the courts to have this girl taken away from her family to put her back on a dangerous, outdated, and frankly crazy treatment. Now, a lot of people out there think it's good to go both ways. Personally, if it was me or somebody in my life, I would hit the longevity hard. I'm talking triple treat chocolate. I'm talking extra tangy tangerine. I'm talking extra glucosamine. I'm talking extra selenium. I mean, all of it, right? I'd be getting about 4,000 ORAC points a day if it were me. But there's some crazy stuff going on out there. And if you are the kind of person that sits down and does a cost-benefit analysis, Chief Executive Officer of Akron Children's Hospital I'm speaking to, if you would do a cost-benefit analysis on which is better for you and your hospital, or what's better for this little girl, disregarding her sickness and pain, because I guess you get to go home at night, don't you? You don't have to worry about it. And, well, you make me sick, quite frankly. Anyways, we have a treat. We got Corey Propp, Presidential Marketing Director in Calgary, live on the Fire Your MD Now radio show. Corey, how you doing today, my man?
I'm very well, Mike. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. If you sounded any more enthusiastic, I think you'd probably explode. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to phone in and say hello and say what a great job you're doing. And, I just want to say what a privilege it is to know yourself, to be involved with you and your brother Garrett and other ones there in Camrose and Edmonton. It's been a great ride. We've known you guys for about a year and a half, and it's just fantastic that I got to know like-minded people like myself sharing this opportunity with other people.
You know what? It's a privilege to know you as well, Corey. I find that, here's the deal, birds of a feather flock together, right? And people that actually have the mindset to be able to listen to something that makes more sense than what you've heard all your life. Because let's face it, that can be kind of a traumatic deal for a lot of people when they find out that You mean House lied to me on CBS?
Yeah.
But the medical model's failing, and a lot of people can't see the forest from the trees, and they're hurting. Tell me this, Corey, what kind of awesome results have you seen in your own sphere of influence down there in Calgary with longevity?
There's a few, actually, I could talk about. One is my mother-in-law, who suffers from breast cancer. Just over a year ago, she was in the hospital. She toughed it out for a long time. She's had it, and this is before we got on longevity. So, anyways, over a year ago, she was in the hospital, and they gave her a few weeks to live. It went into her femur. The cancer had actually migrated into the femur bone, and so that's when we really started heavy with longevity on her. And so she stayed there for about a month, and they kicked her out because she was getting better. So there was no reason. She was in the palliative care, so she's back at home. She still is on home care, but she's getting better. She has all her wit to her. She has energy. She still can't put complete weight on her leg, but she's getting better every day.
I would say that's pretty minor compared to all the other stuff she had going on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, she had the tumors in both of her breasts actually have exposed the skin, and they were draining. And so slowly but surely they are healing. But it is a long process. She's 86 years old, and so she's doing fantastic considering what she's faced with.
Wow, 86 years old. Hey, are you listening out there, dads? Are you listening out there, husbands? Okay, this woman had 3 weeks to live that the doctors gave her because of this breast cancer, and bada bing, bada bang, along comes old Corey Prop with the longevity under his arm. Wonderful. That is just awesome. Corey, we're going to let you go. Thanks so much for calling in. We'll be back after these messages. Welcome back to the Fire Your MD Now radio show, filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. This is Mike Phillip here. Call-in number, if you want to talk about anything in particular, is 866-582-9933. 866-582-9933. Now, this being Remembrance/Veterans Day, if you are an Army medic or you have experience in the field, we would like to hear from you, or say your dad was, or your husband, or your brother-in-law, or something like that. We want to give these guys' story a chance to air itself for the public here, because these guys absolutely do some amazing things, pardon me, and they work under some grueling conditions trying to keep our boys alive overseas. We must appreciate Army medics, all right? As far as sticking with the theme of the show goes. Now, there's a lot of Americans these days, I hear, talking about changing the Constitution. Well, guess what? Benjamin Rush, signature of the Declaration of Independence, agrees with you. I'm going to read a quote here. Unless we put medical freedom into the Constitution, the time will come when medicine will organize itself into an undercover dictatorship to restrict the art of healing to one class of men and deny equal privileges to others. The Constitution of the Republic should make a special privilege for medical freedoms as well as religious freedom. So, because that is not there, not that lawmakers listen much to the Constitution anymore anyways, but because that is not there, this Akron, Ohio Children's Hospital can go to a court and get an order to have this little girl taken away from her family, 10 years old, to be put on a treatment that might possibly kill her and make her uncomfortable and sick every single day. And I listened to the interview with her grandfather, Isaac, and I'll tell you what, these Amish kids don't grow up with a noodle full of Scooby-Doo and sparkly vampires. They actually know what's going on. She knew that this was for profit, and she knew in her heart of hearts that she was going to kick, bite, pinch, scratch, and scream and make it as difficult as possible for these people if they wanted to force her on chemotherapy. And again, hats off to you, little patriot. Way to go. She's got guts. People are doing crazy things. All right. Now that brings me to the business aspect of longevity. Okay? You can make money helping your friends, neighbors, and family to steer towards something that's actually going to make a difference in your life. Now here's the deal. Somebody's going to get paid for it no matter what. Somebody is going to get paid for it. I've talked to a lot of people about this, and they say, well, I'm not that interested in the money. I'm really just interested in helping people. Well, how about the local business owners in your town that go to bed every night worrying and fretting that you're going to have to close down their store because there's no business? You take that money and put it in your pocket, or if you're not interested in the money, sign up for the business end anyways and help out a veteran that's living on the street in one of your cities. Help out somebody in your family. Okay, maybe you don't need it, but you know what? It can be a tool for great good in your pocket. I was just, I had the radio on here today while I was going over my show notes, and I was listening to the local rock station, 100.3 The Bear, and a guy in the city of Edmonton signed up for medical testing and actually had his testicle removed for $35,000. Well, I tell you what, I know a way that you can keep them both and still make that money instead of having your, stupid. Anyhow, you got Benjamin Rush's opinion on how medicine should be treated in the Constitution. Now, speaking of money, our medical system in Canada is chugging along and burning through dollars like nobody's business. All right, we got a report from Global News. By the numbers, by the end of 2013, Canadians will have racked up a bill of $211 billion on health care for the year. That's $211 billion with a B dollars for health care. Now, when we say that's for health care, some of that's for doctors, some of that's for drugs, some of that's for hospitals, and let's break down those numbers. Might sound like $211 billion is breaking the bank, but CIHI says the 2013 increase in spending is only 2.6%. That's it, only 2.6% at $211 billion. Good job, boys. You can't build a website, you can't balance a budget, but you can run health care. We'll be back after these messages. Welcome back to the Fire Your MD Now radio show. Mike Phillip here, filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. Now, if you are sitting at home listening to this show and you know somebody or you personally have got some pain that you've been dealing with for a long time and you're absolutely tired of it, tired of feeling it in your bones or your lungs or your head or your legs or wherever it might be, if you're sick of it and you want a better life, you want more energy, anything really, I'm going to give you a number to call right now. Get a pen, and a member of Team Glidden will be with you to walk you through how to get on top of it. We don't treat you. We don't cure you. You do. You take the fight in your own hands. Take your destiny and how you feel every single day in your own hands. Get the information and use it. All right, here's the phone number for Team Glidden, 1-800-705-6892. Again, that's 1-800-705-6892. Now, I happen to be a dual Canadian-U.S. citizen. I'm mostly a Canadian boy, but I have a real heart for the United States of America. Half of my family is there, and I love the Constitution. So sometimes you're going to hear me kind of lapse back and forth in between talking about both countries, but really our system of medicine isn't really that different. I'm talking about treatments. Here in Canada, it's more socialized, and they're trying to do that in the United States. And I got to say, all this Obamacare and the website don't work and all that, it is looking really clownish from the outside. I mean, we in Canada got this big movie screen called the 49th Parallel, and I got to tell you, it doesn't look good. Now, that is not to be pinned on Americans, because I don't believe that most of them want this. I really don't. I mean, there's probably some. I mean, yeah, you want cheap health insurance, right? But I don't think that that's what's being sold to them. Anyhow, that being said, before the break we were talking about numbers, okay? You might be familiar with the numbers of dollars being wasted in the United States, but I'm going to talk a little bit about your neighbors to the north if you happen to be in the United States. Here in Canada, by the end of 2013, Canadians racked up a bill of $211 billion in health care for a year. Now, there's only about, 35 million people in Canada? That's a lot of money. And what these guys are saying in their budget report is that that's awesome because it only grew 2.6%, which is better than the average growth of 7% per year recorded between 2000 and 2010. Okay, so you're doing great. But where's that money going? All right, hospitals represent 30% of the total dollars spent on health. In 2013, spending in this category is expected to grow by 2.6% to reach $62.6 billion. Spending on drugs represents 16% of total spending on health, forecast to grow by 2.4% in 2013 to reach $34.5 billion with a B. Spending on physicians accounts for 15% of total spending on health. Spending increased by 3.6% from 2012 to 2013, reaching $31.4 billion. Who is footing the bill? Now, on average, governments dole out about 40% of their budget on health care spending, but the health care in Canada is spent by the monies are paid by provincial and territorial governments. All right, so everybody in the province of Alberta signs in. And by the way, here in Alberta, we're tied with Newfoundland approximately as the biggest spenders on health care. Alberta's kind of like the Texas of Canada. We have a lot of oil patch, and I've actually worked on a lot of equipment that was heading down to Texas. And we spend a lot. Doctors' treatments are failing us consistently and wanting more money. We're going to go to a call. Jaden in Michigan. Are you there, Jaden?
Yes, I am.
How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. I've got the longevity going on in my life, so I feel my worst day on longevity is better than my best day when I wasn't using it before. I'm supercharged.
Yes. Okay, I have a question. Now, I am a longevity rep, and I do have people calling me occasionally. I had someone call me the other day with an individual that has recently suffered from an aneurysm. And I'm just kind of wondering what you would suggest.
Okay. Now, you are a longevity distributor. Is your friend down with longevity?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Her soon.
Okay. So, obviously, first of all, we're going to get her on that 10 bad food list. Have you been showing her that?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I want you to get her familiar with the 10 bad food list. Now, before we go any further, I want to ask you something. How has longevity impacted your life, Jaden?
Let's see. Well, I was already an herbalist. I've been an herbalist and iridologist and kind of a holistic, self-sufficient lifestyler for a while, almost 30 years. So I wasn't really ailing. I wasn't in very much pain. However, I did notice my brain function improved. And, pardon me, I did lose a few pounds, about 10, without really doing anything, just from drinking the BTT and getting enough nutrients in my body such that
That's
my brain
awesome.
was calling for nutrition.
Yep.
So those are probably the two major things. I had broken a knee due to a fall, a kind of hard fall, clearly. And when I started taking the longevity the knee felt significantly better. It was better, but now it was significantly better.
Awesome.
So those are three things now.
Yeah.
Yes. I regularly use the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, the Osteo FX, the omega-3s or the EFAs, selenium, the chocolate when I'm not doing the ASAP, then I'm doing the chocolate. When you're doing the ASAP, you kind of shouldn't do the chocolate. So I kind of use, I use quite a few. Oh, and we cannot forget the Rebound and the Pollen Burst.
Sounds like you got your bases covered, eh?
Kind of, I think so.
You sound like me. I was the same way. I would go to the health food store and I would try just about anything. I would go through stuff, and whatever I got good result, I would kind of hang on to that thing and keep buying it. But I had this really expensive regimen that I followed every day, and I was getting good results. The only reason I was doing that is because I was scared I was going to die. My health was so bad. And I literally probably almost partied myself to death, truth be known. I was kind of a crazy guy. Anyways, it's funny that you brought up the selenium. Are you a Dr. Glidden insider?
Not yet. I am going to, sign up for the Insider program probably this week. I've been saying I was going to do it for a couple weeks now, so I will probably actually sign up this week. Oh, I forgot one. I also do the Nightly Essence.
How do you find that?
I'm sorry?
And how do you find the Nightly Essence?
How do I take it?
How do you find it? What kind of effects are you getting from it?
Oh, the effects. Well, anything that helps digestion. That's probably been my single most chronic battle throughout my life, is just making sure that I am digesting and breaking down and eliminating the necessary things, foods and toxins and things of that nature. And so I am a certified natural health professional. So I have been taking enzymes, but I didn't usually like the probiotics because I don't like the yogurt. And so this was a way for me to get the probiotics without having to deal with the yogurt. And
did you ever try the root beer belly?
I have, and I give that to my grandchildren. And
well, I bet they love it.
Yes, they do. And when
it's like eating candy.
House, yes, they ask for it. I make them smoothies with BTT. Again, I've been in this lifestyle for a while, so I have a Vitamix, and I've cajoled my sister into also getting a Vitamix. So we have 2 Vitamixes at the house, so if we have any issues. So and I've been making smoothies for a very long time, so whenever the grandchildren come over, we make smoothies, and they have fun, and adding whatever they want, as long as it's pure. Most of my food is organic. And then we go into the adding of the BTT and the chocolate. I have the liquid chocolate, though. I don't like the little squares very much. So we do the liquid chocolate. We have soaked and sometimes sprouted nuts, and then the raw fruit. So I put the root beer belly. I was saying all that because I've put the root beer belly in there, as well as they've eaten the root beer belly by itself, and then in addition to the smoothie, which has the BTT.
Have you ever tried giving the kids some cherry mints in their smoothie?
No, because I don't have any cherry mints. They just have to take the good old calcium the way I have it.
The way it's laid out. You know what? You sound like a really great lady and lots of fun to be around, and it's a lucky thing for your family you're doing what you're doing, because it sounds like you're going to live to be 140.
Oh, yeah. I think so.
With everything you're taking.
85. Yeah, my dad is 85, and he's doing very well. And I think for 52, I look and feel pretty good. Being nice about it without being too terribly arrogant. But nonetheless,
awesome.
So I got a call from a friend of mine, and it isn't her that has the aneurysm. She's calling for someone else who has been taken to the hospital with this aneurysm. And so I told them the healthy brain and heart pack. And, of course, they whined about money. Well, I just happen to have a healthy brain and heart pack and all of the parts to it, so I took some over to them. But I was just wondering if there was something else that you might suggest. And so I took the ESA plus selenium and BGT over. And because...
All right, Jaden, I got to interrupt you. We're going to have to come back to your call after these messages, and I've got an answer for you as to what I would like to see you do. We'll be back, people. We're back on the Fire Your MD Now radio show with one final short segment. And we're talking to the coolest grandma in Michigan, Jaden, making smoothies with tangy tangerine and whatnot for the kids. That is just awesome. They're going to remember you that for they're going to remember you for that someday. Are you still there, Jaden?
I am here.
Great. Now, we were talking about aneurysms. You had said earlier that you were interested in becoming an insider with Dr. Glidden's website. That's correct?
Yes, I am interested in such.
Right on. Well, when you do, I would like you to bring up the webinar on selenium and watch it with your friend.
Okay.
All right. Watch the webinar on selenium. Dr. Glidden will cover that, aneurysms and whatnot, in that webinar. But selenium, in our view, is the key, along with the other 90.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I may
so you keep chugging along doing what you're doing. We appreciate you. Jaden, you're the last best hope for the people in your family and neighborhood.
Thank you.
All right, have a great day. Now, this is a short segment, and I got to say, it is a real privilege for me to be hosting the Fire Your MD Now radio show. I never really foresaw anything like this happening, but me and Dr. Glidden get along great, and I do have some radio training, and I love longevity. Now, I like to use longevity products. I'm just like you. I want to know if this guy's on the level. I want to know if these claims are true. I want to know what effects they can have on my body. Now, send the kids out of the room because I got a product to tell you about. Here's the deal. I have never had a problem with erectile difficulties, okay? No problems. Anyhow, even though I've never had any problems, I started taking the Prost FX. My good friend Duffy told me about Longevity's Prost FX. I was listening to Dr. Glidden. He talked about eating 10 eggs a day if you want to be a manly man. So I thought, okay, I'm pretty manly as it is, but let's do these 10 eggs a day thing here, right? I'm telling you what, Prost FX, guys. Actually, my wife put it on her auto ship for me. That's how much we like it around here. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. All right. We have talked about a lot of things here today, and go out there and tell your friends, tell your family about longevity. We have got the good news. The good news is that you don't have to live with pain and chronic disease anymore. And, here's the deal with the healthcare system. They're talking about it crumbling because of Obamacare. Well, okay. Get on longevity. Fire your MD now. Call-in number, 866-582-9933. I'm going to be gone here soon, but you can call Dr. Peter Glidden tomorrow with any problems you might have. And like I said before, if you're hurting and you're tired and you're sick and tired of being hurting and tired, grab your phone. I'm going to give you the number for Team Glidden, 1-800-705-6892. 1-800-705-6892. There's going to be somebody on the other end of that line that's going to pick up the phone, and they are interested in seeing you get back to the health that you were intended to have. Your body wants to live. It wants to be happy. It wants to thrive. Your brain was made to work. You know, we have so many things happen in our lives that are really out of our control. I mean, we're told our whole lives by Madison Avenue types that, you know, unless we have this product or that product, you won't be beautiful, you'll never find love, you won't be healthy. If you use a Gillette razor, you are probably going to be a good-looking guy who goes to the gym all the time. Well, you know what? You need to get on board with longevity. 800-705-6892. It's been a real treat talking to you all today. Get out and show this world longevity. God bless you.